What's the stupidest thing someone has argued with you about? I got an argument when I was around 8 that some ants have wings and some don't. That was the whole argument. This kid absolutely refused to believe that some ants have wings. It ended with him headbutting me. Someone started an argument claiming that if identical twins are separated at birth and raised by different families, then they're not twins anymore. My ex-girlfriend and I got into a pretty heated argument about where the bed sheets should be stored. Personally, I just thought that her putting them down with the canned foods in the kitchen didn't seem to make as much sense as putting them with the curtains and towels in the bathroom. But apparently that makes me an idiot. Someone tried to convince me that they could run a mile in 3 minutes. After I called her out saying the fastest was 3 minutes and 43 seconds, she then argued that the fastest mile was actually 1 minute. Around 4th grade I was at lunch, and I saw my friend take my Butterfinger out of my lunchbox, and she spent the entire 20 minutes trying to convince me it was hers. In 5th grade, a classmate stole a pencil from my backpack and refused to admit it. My name was engraved on the pencil. In grade 8 all my pencils started going missing, so I wrote my initials on all of them. Then I see this fucking kid has them and I said those are mine. It even says my name on it, and that fucker has the balls to say no, I just do that to my pencils. I didn't like that guy. My mother has argued with me over if we are currently arguing. Back in high school my friend was trying to tell me Alaska was its own country and Guam was a state. There's this girl in my class at school and she thought Alaska was in Europe. She also thinks that a B grade stands for bad and A grade stands for average. My mother argued with me about the hours of operation for the retail chain I've been working at for 10 years at the time. She thought they were closed on a particular holiday, but in reality they only close on Christmas, half days on Thanksgiving and Christmas Eve, not that particular day. Eventually I turned to my father and told him to ignore mom and go to the store to get chips or carrots or whatever it was the party was low on, which was the catalyst for the argument. They were open. Dad got the snacks, and I was left feeling like my mom had no idea what I do for a living. I sincerely hope it wasn't even one of those holidays like MLK Day or President's Day, where banks are closed but nothing else is, like St. Patrick's Day or Cinco de Mayo. Columbus Day. When I worked retail I got a kick out of people asking me our Columbus Day hours. Granted this was in DC and they were probably current or former government workers. It still made me smile. That Vatican City wasn't a country after multiple Google searches. The whole class agreeing that it was, and even a geography teacher telling him it was his response. I still don't think it is because I can have my own opinion. My mother insists that fish aren't animals, that they are their own kingdom like fungi or plants. We were out to dinner and I insisted that we ask our waitress what she thought, to get some support. She said, "Oh, this is perfect. I'm a bio major actually, so I know she's right. You'll learn about it in college." And 8 years later here I am on the other end of college. My mother still pridefully reminding me how she beat me at that argument. My cousin also believes that if her parents never met she would still be alive, just in 2 different bodies. I didn't want to touch that one though. This family is a can of worms. Maybe she thought your mom wouldn't tip her if she didn't agree with her. We had our meal paid for by some family friends, who chose to stay silent. But I see your point. She's a perfectly intelligent woman, so it really took me by surprise. I was eating a pickle at lunch. In high school, I referred to my pickle for some reason in the conversation. My friend said, "That's not a pickle." It was a pickle, a normal, big crunchy dill pickle. It looked exactly like the pickle you're picturing right now. I asked her what she thought it was, and she said it was a cucumber. I said that she was right, but that it was also a pickle. She disagreed. I asked her what she thought a pickle was. Then, if not the thing in my hand, she couldn't answer. It was the weirdest argument ever. Whether or not Timbuktu is a real place. My kids insist I made it up. I've shown them maps and websites to prove it's real, but they still think I made it up. Someone once tried to convince me that Nicolas Cage was in the Fellowship of the Ring. I was like, "Do you know what the Lord of the Rings is? Elves, hobbits, Gandalf? Are you sure that you know who Nicolas Cage is? Like, are you confusing him with Viggo Mortensen?" No? In elementary school, getting off the morning bus, a girl told me that a day is 12 hours long. I informed her, "No. In fact, it's 24 hours. This went on for probably 10 minutes straight until I asked the bus driver, to which he agreed that one day is 12 hours. I wanted to scream at everyone who's mentioning the fact that technically, a day is 12 hours, and the night is the other 12 hours. I brought that up and asked if that's what she meant, and I vividly remember her insisting the whole day/night cycle was 12 hours total. If the bus driver heard the exchange before you asked them, there's a high probability that they really want to fuck with you. I have a funny feeling that a lot of the posts in this thread might actually be like that. I'm having a hard time deciding which is stupider, believing something stupid or spending time arguing with someone who believes something stupid. I told a coworker that I was taking a class in archaeology, and was pretty interested in majoring in it. He insisted archaeologists dug up dinosaurs. I explained, "No, that's a really common mistake. Paleontologists dig up dinosaurs. Archaeologists deal with human stuff." Dude got really defensive and doubled down, quizzing me on random dinosaurs facts. that he probably didn't know either, and said I would never make it as an archaeologist if I didn't know those things. His final statement was, well, what if you're digging up a building and you find a dinosaur skull? Huh? What are you going to do then? Before walking out, like dude, you would call someone else who knows about said dinosaur? Also, if I'm digging up a building and a fucking fossil from the Mesozoic era is there, we've dug too deep. Dude just couldn't accept he had made a mistake. I had a 30-minute argument with a roommate once because he didn't believe a canoe was a boat. Got into an argument that Mises is not the plural of moose. In high school we were playing a Jeopardy game and one of the questions was the Treaty of Versailles ended this war to end all wars. I said World War I, everybody else said World War II. It culminated when my friend asked me, "2pi Kit, why would they call World War I the war to end all wars if World War II happened?" I just responded with, because they didn't know World War II was going to happen. We missed that question and the other team got it. My daughter once argued with my ex about whether or not ducks have butts. She was 4. A girl tried to convince me that hiccups are caused by the gallbladder. Her argument points: 1. Then why do people with no gallbladder never get hiccups? 2. Why can you Google gallbladder hiccups and get results? 3. Can you explain exactly how hiccups and gallbladders work? No? Then that means I'm right. 4. Can I explain either of those? No, but I know I'm right. I had a neighbor kid who argued with me about a car part I had replaced in my car twice, so I knew what I was talking about. He is a few years younger than me. So at the time I was probably 20 and he was 16 and I had just replaced the catalytic converter on my car. He insisted it was called a catalyst converter and not a catalytic converter. We argued for probably 15 minutes about it and it was infuriating how dumb he was. I even showed him proof that the part is called a catalytic converter, and when we searched it with his terminology it suggested /catalytic / instead of catalyst. He still argued and it just made me so angry. In Trivial Pursuit game I answered USS Eisenhower or some such in response to a question about ships. And the fool reading the questions insisted I was wrong because the card said the USS Eisenhower. This was early in the game. I told her definite articles and conjunctions didn't matter, but she held firm. Other players, including her husband, were afraid to oppose her. I gave ridiculous made-up answers for the rest of the game. My brother's then girlfriend argued with me that almond milk isn't a thing. I'd seen a commercial for Jack Lalan's juicer and I mentioned how you can apparently make almond milk with it. Our conversation went like this: if you squeezed an almond, would any milk come out? Well, no. That's why you need the juicer. It doesn't work like that. But if almond milk doesn't exist, what are all these things at the grocery store purporting to be almond milk? That's almond flavored milk. How come it's labeled as vegan? That's almond flavored soy milk. If you squeezed a soybean, would any milk come out? Shrieks. Someone I work with said if they can't see drops of water on / coming from something, then it isn't wet. I got a damp cloth and asked if it was wet. No, there isn't any drops coming from it. So I wrung it out and got more water out of it. They didn't want to argue anymore. I was pulled into an argument with someone that agreed with me, but just didn't like the way I said it. It had to be said his way. I almost got into fist fight with my best friend explaining the difference between a square and a rectangle. That filtering water is unnecessary and dumping all our waste into the rivers is fine because the water cycle takes care of it.